2025 is maybe the most important year in fashion in recent times. So many debuts that could change the future of fashion. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, we had Julian Clausener's debut, but it wasn't really a debut. It was kind of like a soft debut. Of course, we had Peter Coping already with his L'Envent debut. I mean, can you call it a debut? We had Ludovic de Saint-Saëns at Jean-Paul Gaultier, but that's not really a debut. That's just a guest designer collection-ish. Yeah, so many debuts. We had Alessandro Michele's couture debut at Valentino. Is there anyone else I'm missing? Let me know in the comments if there's anyone else I'm missing. Yeah, we have Matthieu Blazy's debut coming too. That's very true. Even Louise Trotter also. Her debut's coming. Okay, people are mentioning, yes, we haven't seen Haider Ackermann for Tom Ford as well. That's true. That should be really interesting. Haider Ackermann. Oh yes, Michael Ryder at Celine. That's true. We are going to see that debut too. Yeah, it's a lot. It's really a lot of debuts this year. Burberry, Jill Sander, Fendi, and Diesel will probably get new designers. Yeah, that's true. I mean, apparently Maria Garcia-Chiuri was offered the role at Fendi, but apparently she didn't accept it. Apparently, it's a rumor. I don't know if it's like facts or not, but that was a rumor I heard. Jill Sander, yes. Burberry, I feel like Kim Jones might end up there. Diesel is an interesting one. Do you think that Glenn Martens is going to leave Diesel just to focus on Margiela? I mean, I've seen people say that because Margiela is such an important brand for OTB that he'd have to focus on Margiela, but doesn't Diesel make more money than Margiela? Or is it close? Maybe Margiela makes more because of the perfumes and stuff like that, but Diesel makes a lot of money. Diesel is definitely one of the brands that is high up on the list of what makes the most money for OTB, to be honest. Was there ever a chance that Matthieu Margiela would have returned to his eponymous label after John Galliano left? He said in his documentary that there remain some things he'd make in fashion. No, so from the research I've done on Matthieu Margiela and the continued research, I mean, every time I go to Antwerp, he always pops up in like some new exhibition or something. Even the latest exhibition that they had in the MoMU that I went to in Antwerp, Inga Grognard, who is like a really famous makeup artist. She did makeup for a lot of the Antwerp 6 members. She does makeup for Demnes Balenciaga. So on and so forth, but she's a legend anyway. She had a collaboration with Margiela-ish at the MoMU too. But anyway, all of that aside, I think he wants to come back into fashion, but not through his eponymous label. I think he wants to come through different mediums. So there was a time, it wasn't too long ago, he had that sort of arts exhibition in Paris. I think that's more the vibe that he wants to do. He wants to kind of have these little capsules here and there where he'll like release stuff. But I don't think he's going to go back to the eponymous label. I think he doesn't even agree with the way it's run. Yes, he gave John Galliano his blessing, because John Galliano talked in his parting message about how the reason why he felt so convicted to go to Margiela is because he had a conversation with Matthieu Margiela himself, and Matthieu Margiela gave John Galliano his blessing, so he felt like he was then able to put his vision onto the brand. But I think Matthieu probably looks at Margiela and is like, everything that I intended for the brand to stand for, it doesn't stand for that anymore. So there's just a big disconnect there. Do you think YSL should get a new designer? Oh, hell no. I think Anthony has started warming up. Obviously, I think he's had some really good collections in general. But over the past 2 or 3 seasons, whether you like the collections or not, whether they are to your personal taste or not, I've seen more buzz around the last 3 YSL runway shows than I've seen in a long time for YSL. So definitely not. I don't think YSL needs a new designer, if I'm going to be very honest. I don't think so. What are your thoughts on... Wait 1 second, let me get this off. What are your thoughts on Ludovic de Saint-Saëns Gaultier? I personally thought Ludovic de Saint-Saëns needed to be more well-versed in couture techniques. It felt like he copy and pasted embroidery on his already simple silhouettes. Yeah, 100% I agree. I wasn't the biggest fan of the collection, although I don't think every look was bad in the Ludovic de Saint-Saëns collection. Some of the looks were quite nice. My issue with Ludovic is that I just don't think he channeled Jean-Paul Gaultier very effectively, because Jean-Paul Gaultier to me is where playfulness and fun meets sexiness. I think Ludovic's sexiness sometimes veers to like let's get naked in Saint-Tropez type vibes. And he brought that to couture, which I wasn't the biggest fan of. Where do you think Galliano is going? So if you answered, I have just tuned in. John Galliano. I don't actually know. At one point, people were saying that John Galliano was going back to Dior. Of course, that's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to be JW Anderson. I think There's a slight possibility that John Galliano could go to Fendi. A slight possibility because that's a big house. I think John Galliano has been craving to design a really big house. I always wonder what his relationship is with LVMH. I know it's been a lot of time and stuff, but I don't know if there are many big wigs in LVMH that don't like him because of the situation that happened, or if it's just too controversial for LVMH to touch. So Fendi is definitely on the cards. That's about it. I think Burberry, people are saying Daniel Lee is leaving Burberry and stuff. I can't see John Galliano at Burberry. I just don't see how he would want to go there, to be honest. So with John Galliano, I don't really know. That's one of the things where John Galliano is probably going to go to the kind of brand that's like, let's say like Gucci has a vacancy. He'll probably go there or something like that. But now I just think based on the jobs that are available, I can't see any of those brands being a good fit for John Galliano, really. I think some people have said, I think the most sensible take, to me at least, is that John Galliano is going to go back to his eponymous label and they will relaunch his eponymous label. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. But it won't make a lot of money, probably. It'll just be for art. What's famous designer from before the 2000s could make it in today's environment, according to you? Josand, do you mean Holston when you said ALSTO Versace? What are the skills that translate from one era to the next? So if I think of designers from the past, a lot of these designers are still alive, to be honest. But designers who can capture an audience now, most of them, to be like Alaya definitely could easily, because I think who makes clothing that is sexy but forward thinking? I think so many designers try it, but the forward thinking nature of it and the couture techniques are missing. So there are people that make clothing that quote unquote look sexy, like Ludovic de Saint-Sernin is an example, but the skill is lacking there. Whereas Azadine would just, so Azadine Alaya would decimate this scene easily. If anything, I think most of them would, because fashion, the top of fashion these days is so uninspiring that a lot of customers would be captivated by how innovative a lot of what those designers are doing. So the likes of Alaya, the likes of Cristobal Balenciaga would easily be big now. Like Cristobal Balenciaga's would be worn by first ladies and stuff. Those are the kind of people that, like, Kate Middleton would be wearing Cristobal Balenciaga's work if he was designing now. I'm trying to think. Most of them could, to be fair. Christian Dior probably wouldn't work. Some of his silhouettes are a bit, if I'm thinking of 2025, a bit dated. Even though I like Christian Dior as a designer, I don't think it would work. Yves Saint Laurent would definitely work. Yves Saint Laurent easily. A lot of them would work, to be honest. We could go on forever. I think a lot of their skills would translate. A lot of them would translate. Who will be the new king of menswear now that Kim is out and Virgil RIP is gone? I'm not excited for menswear at the moment. King of menswear. I mean, there are a lot of menswear designers that I think do interesting things. Kiko Kostadinov being one of them. I mean, you have Martine Rose, Wells Bonner, Bianca Saunders. Like, these are all like menswear designers, right? So I think there are designers that are making menswear. But in terms of king of menswear, I think you mean like the person who's at the big fashion house doing things. I don't really know if we're going to see one of those for a while. I don't think so. You know the fashion house Rojas, it doesn't get enough attention like it used to. If there was a vacancy available for artistic director, who do you think should take over? Isn't the creative director there new? Like, who's the creative director of Rojas again? It just skipped my mind, but he joined there not that long ago. Let's see, creative director of Rojas. Yeah, Alessandro Vigilante. And he was appointed in, let me just check, but I know it was recent. Yeah, he was appointed in December 2023. Yeah, December 2023. So he's barely been there for that long. So I don't think we should be having conversations of like, if there was a new creative director, who should go there? Because I don't think that anyone new is going to go there for a while, to be honest. So I haven't talked about Marc Jacobs' recent show, but I did see it though. I did see it, but I don't like really talking about collections. Like, we can look at it, but I honestly don't like talking about collections if I haven't really looked into it deeply, because I feel like then what I say is not that interesting. I'm just kind of just like, oh, look at this, like, look at that. But it's not helpful for anyone. It's not insightful. But yeah, for people that don't know, this is the collection, the Marc Jacobs collection that just came out. So I can show you the looks, but I don't really have an opinion because I need to take in the clothing further. I've seen the images, but I need to sit with it for a bit. Just show you guys the looks quickly. I don't know why these dresses are very like comme des garçons. Comme des Garçons mainline. I have a theory that in order for black designers to do well in the UK, they have to reference their heritage. I guess so, because a lot of them do, but I don't know. I think it's good that they reference their heritage. I think that, once again, a lot of designers, and this is my issue with a lot of designers these days, they reference the same basic points of European history. They don't even do any research and try to learn about anything remotely new or interesting in European history. So I do like when designers reference their heritage, because then it adds some more variety to fashion rather than just seeing 15 designers reference the pre-Raphaelites and stuff like that. It's just tiring. It'd be like, you read designer show notes these days. It's like, I was doing so much research and, I learned about the Surrealist artists and I was really inspired by what I saw from Salvador Dali. And it's like Surrealism, and the best you could come up with was Salvador Dali. Like the artist that everyone references. Like, okay. What were people talking about? Tremaine. Arnie saying that was pretentious of you. It's not pretentious. It's just, sometimes I look at collections, because I think when you've been working in fashion for so long, you need to remember that it's almost, you get fatigued. I've been reviewing shows for almost 8 years now. And so there are so many shows where when I read the press release, I'm like, I have literally reviewed 15 collections that had the same press release, the same book that you're inspired by, the same inspirations, the same artists. So when I say, designers will be like, oh yeah, I was just doing some research on surrealism, and like I learned about Salvador Dali, and it was really interesting to learn about all this stuff. In my head, I'm just like, I have to sigh, because it just shows a lack of research, a lack of just doing any sort of work.